Tonight, somewhere on Earth, a baby will be born. Another person will take their last breath. And between those two moments sits a fact so strange that most people never stop to think about it. You exist. Not humanity. Not people in general. You. But the real answer to why you exist right now is far stranger than it first appears. Imagine rewinding your life by 1 year, then 10, then 100, then 1,000. Your parents disappear. Their parents disappear. Entire countries vanish. Languages fade away. Cities crumble into dust. Yet the chain continues. How far back would you have to go before the story breaks? The surprising answer is that it never can. Every single person in your family tree had to survive long enough to have at least one child. Then that child had to survive long enough to do the same, again and again, generation after generation, for thousands of years. Miss a single link and you are gone. A storm arrives on the wrong day. A hunter takes a different path. A ship never reaches shore. A conversation never happens. A glance across a crowded room lasts 1 second less. You disappear. This sounds dramatic, but it is also mathematically true. Your existence depends on an unbroken chain stretching back through every historical event you've ever heard about and countless others you never will. The chain reaches through kingdoms and empires, through wars and migrations, through famines and plagues, through ice ages and droughts, and eventually it reaches beyond recorded history into a world without cities, without writing, and without civilization itself, a world of small groups of humans living under open skies. Your ancestors lived there. For most of human history, survival was never guaranteed. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham has written extensively about the harsh realities of early human life. Food could disappear. Predators waited in the darkness. Injury could become a death sentence. Yet somehow the chain continued. Why? Part of the answer is simple. Your ancestors were survivors, not necessarily the strongest, not necessarily the smartest, but successful enough to stay alive and raise children in whatever world they happened to inhabit. Every generation represented a test, and every generation passed. When you look in a mirror, you are looking at the latest version of a line that has been running for hundreds of thousands of years. That alone is remarkable. But the story becomes even stranger when genetics enters the picture. Inside nearly every cell in your body sits a complete instruction manual built from DNA. That code contains information passed down through countless generations. Some of those genetic sequences are incredibly old. Older than agriculture, older than civilization, older than the pyramids, ancient Rome, and every kingdom that has ever existed. In a sense, parts of you are ancient travelers carrying messages from a world that no longer exists. Geneticist Spencer Wells helped popularize this idea through studies tracing human ancestry across continents. The evidence points toward an astonishing reality. Every living person is connected. The branches may look different, the paths may twist in different directions, but eventually they meet. The deeper you travel into the past, the smaller the human population becomes, and the more closely connected everyone appears. This means your existence is not only tied to your ancestors, it is tied to humanity itself. Think about that for a moment. Every war that failed to erase a population, every migration that opened a new route, every invention that improved survival, every alliance that prevented disaster, all of it helped shape the conditions that eventually produced you. History is not just something that happened, it is something that happened to you. Yet there is an even deeper layer. The odds. People often ask about the probability of their existence. The numbers become absurd almost immediately. Your parents had to meet. Then they had to meet at exactly the right time. A different day could have resulted in a completely different child. A different conversation could have changed everything. A delayed train, a cancelled trip, a missed phone call. Any one of these could erase the version of reality in which you exist. Biologist Richard Dawkins once described the staggering improbability of individual existence by pointing out that countless potential people never come into being at all. You're one of the few who did. That realization changes how you view coincidence. Many events in your life feel random, but from another perspective, your entire existence is built from an unimaginable mountain of coincidences stacked on top of one another. Coincidence? after coincidence, century after century, until eventually there is you. Still, coincidence alone is not enough to explain the story, because the chain extends beyond humanity. Long before there were humans, there were earlier ancestors. Long before cities, there were forests. Long before language, there were creatures trying to survive in changing environments. Evolutionary biologist Charles Darwin proposed that all living things share common ancestry. Since then, mountains of evidence have supported that idea. The implication is extraordinary. If you keep moving backward far enough, your family tree stops looking human. Millions of years ago, your ancestors were not people. They were earlier primates. Before that, mammals. Before that, distant vertebrate ancestors living in ancient oceans. The journey stretches so far into the past that it becomes difficult for the human mind to imagine, yet the chain remains unbroken. You exist because life kept surviving, again and again, for billions of years. Consider what had to happen. Earth formed, life emerged, mass extinction struck, most species vanished, yet some survived. Asteroids hit, continents drifted, climate changed, oceans shifted, and through every catastrophe, life found a way forward. Your existence depends on all of it. Had one major extinction unfolded slightly differently, the entire future could have changed. Had one branch of life disappeared, mammals might never have risen. Had mammals never risen, humans might never have appeared. And if humans never appeared, there would be nobody asking why they exist. The question itself depends on a chain of survival stretching back billions of years. But here is the twist. Most people assume this story is about the past. It isn't. It is about the present. Right now, your body contains solutions to problems faced by ancestors you will never meet. Fear helped people avoid danger. Curiosity helped people discover opportunities. Friendship helped people cooperate. Love helped people form bonds strong enough to raise children. Many of the emotions you experience today are echoes from ancient worlds. Why do you worry? Why do you care what other people think? Why does rejection hurt? Why does belonging feel good? Because your ancestors lived in groups where these feelings mattered. The people who ignored every social signal often paid a price. The people who formed strong connections were more likely to survive. Their descendants inherited the systems that worked. Eventually, those descendants became you. This is where the story becomes personal. Your existence is not merely the result of survival. It is the result of relationships. Every ancestor had parents. Every parent cared enough, successfully enough, or fortunately enough for the chain to continue. Some faced impossible hardships. Some lived ordinary lives. Some changed history. Most never appeared in any history book at all, yet every one of them was essential. Remove one and the story ends. This creates a strange perspective. History often celebrates famous people, kings, explorers, scientists, generals, but your existence depends just as much on unknown farmers, forgotten workers, anonymous travelers, and ordinary people whose names vanished centuries ago. The vast majority of your ancestors left no monuments, no books, no statues. Yet their contribution may be the most important of all. They kept the chain alive, and now it reaches you. For a brief moment, you become the current holder of something unimaginably old. A line that stretches across civilizations and continents, across ice ages and deserts, across oceans and mountains, across nearly the entire story of human existence. One day the chain will continue through other people, or it will end. Either way, the fact that it reached this exact moment remains astonishing, because the universe did not owe you existence. The odds were never in your favor. Most possible people never arrive. Most possible futures never happen. Yet somehow, against impossible odds, here you are, reading these words, thinking these thoughts, asking questions about your place in the world. That is the final twist. The answer to why you exist right now is not that destiny chose you. It is not that history was moving toward you. It is something stranger. You exist because an unbroken chain of life refused to stop. For billions of years, through chaos, chance, catastrophe, and change, the chain continued. And for one brief moment, it became you. Tonight, somewhere on Earth, a baby will be born. And if the chain continues, one day that person may wonder the same thing you did. Why do I exist right now? The answer will be exactly the same. Because against impossible odds, the chain reached them too.